Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. WildMax1 here bringing you another Raid Shadow Legends video. And today on the channel, we're going to be doing another champion guide, this time on the Magic Affinity damage dealer from the Undead Hordes faction, Mr. Rotos the Lost Groom. That's right, we're going to be doing a champ overview, breaking down his skills, showing you how to build him right, and finally showcasing what he can do. And with that, let's get into it. So Rotos was released in 2020 as a fusion and instantly made a splash in Arena as one of the most dominant damage dealers. In fact, he was so good that they actually nerfed him later the same year. But now he's still one of the top Arena threats, one of the best meta champs that you can get. He has good survivability, he's a single target nuker, and what makes him really special is his ability to reset turns and leave your opponent dizzy after he just completely destroys their team. And with that, let's take a look at his abilities. So starting off with Rotos' A1, Terror Scourge. Attacks one enemy, has a 75% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense debuff for 2 turns. Also has a 25% chance of granting an extra turn. Now, Rotos, if you know anything about him, he's all about those extra turns. And already here on his A1, you see that coming into play. Another thing to note on his A1 and all of his abilities, in fact, is the damage multipliers are based off of both attack and HP. This is going to be really important when it comes to gearing, and we're going to be spending quite a bit of time talking about this later. For now, let's move on to his A2. Vitality Plunder. Attacks one enemy, destroys the target's max HP by 20%, and then adds that HP to this champion's own max HP. Cannot destroy single champ's HP by more than 60% in one battle. Cannot increase this champ's max HP by more than 60,000 HP. Destroys the max HP of bosses by 30% of damage inflicted. And the important thing to note there is that it basically takes 4 uses of Vitality Plunder against the most bosses in the game in order to get up to that 60,000 value threshold for the max gain that he gets from it. It books down to a 2-turn cooldown from a 3-turn cooldown. Now, this is one of Rotos' abilities that really lets him scale throughout a fight. Like, Rotos is one of those champs that just keeps getting stronger the longer he lasts. So you really want to take him out quickly, because if he's getting that maximum 60,000 HP and more than doubling his current HP, he's just going to be that much more difficult to take out. And it's what really makes this champ such a menace in Arena. So now let's look at his A3. Fated Destruction. Attacks one enemy, will ignore 60% of the target's defense, will also ignore unkillable and block damage buffs. Enemies killed by this skill cannot be revived if this champ has gained that 60,000 maximum HP from Vitality Plunder. Grants an extra turn if this skill kills an enemy. So 4-turn cooldown, booking down 3-turn. A lot going on with this skill, right? One is you're, again, seeing that extra turn mechanic that he has. So along with that A1 really shows, and his low cooldowns already show how quickly he can snowball in a match and potentially just wipe somebody out without them even getting a turn. Then we have the block revive. Again, this builds up. It's a little bit more slowly in Arena, but he still can be a great answer for like a Wukong. If you kill him with this, that champ's gone for the rest of the match once he has that 60,000 HP from Vitality Plunder. Another thing that this comes into use for is in PvE with things like Ice Spider or Frost Spider, or with Ice Golem with his ads. Right? So a lot of uses for this skill. And again, 3 turns going down to 2 if you kill an enemy and you get your turn back. And finally, let's take a look at his passive. Spurn Oblivion. Will decrease damage from enemy hits so that incoming damage from any single hit will not exceed 50% of this champion's max HP. Grants an extra turn if this damage reduction occurs. This does not have a cooldown. Does not work against bosses. Decreases the damage taken from bosses by 15, going up to 30% if Sifi, the Lost Bride, is on the same team. So once again, we see the extra turn mechanic coming into play here. This makes Rotos incredibly tanky, along with the HP that he gains from Vitality Plunder and the healing that's built into it. And then additionally, he does have that extra turn mechanic. So even if Rotos is built really slowly and you think you're going to just outspeed the whole team and get through him, if you try to nuke him down with that one big ability, all of a sudden it's his turn and he's got a chance to bring that match back. This is one of the things, along with his other resets, that make him so terrifying in Arena. So obviously an incredible kit on Rotos here. but there are still a few threats in Arena that prevent him from being that absolute pinnacle of the top meta damage dealers. Notably, a few counters in champs. One of them is Harima. Bad affinity matchup, and her passive messes with his A3's ignore percent defense. Then UDK. All of his abilities are single target. So UDK's passive, along with the bad affinity matchup, makes him a really strong counter to Rotos. Provided that you can work your way around those two champs and maybe some other bad affinity matchups, Rotos still has every opportunity to run rampant through teams in Arena. All right, so now let's talk about Rotos' stats. So you can see right here his HP is pretty low, attack is good, defense is fine, speed is a little low, but you're not really concerned that much with speed because he has all the extra turn mechanics, and through Spurn Oblivion has the ability to potentially cut in with a turn. Now, even with that low of HP, you're also less concerned because of Spurn Oblivion's ability to block those big hits, as well as Vitality Plunder and his ability to slowly gain more max HP. So if you're going to be considering building Rotos, you want to make sure that he's got whatever speed you need, whether it's for live arena or for whatever content you're going to be running him in. You want to have 100% crit rate, good amount of attack, good amount of crit damage. For the breakdown between attack and HP, that's where it gets a little bit more complicated with him because, as we already saw, all of his abilities scale in damage both based off of both stats. So with that, let's take a look at how I have my Rotos built, and I'll show you how you can do it right. So in terms of sets for Rotos, there's a lot of sets that are going to be working really well on him. And for the most part, you can already imagine what some of them are for damage dealers, right? So your sets like your lethals, your savages, all those are going to work great on him. Even cruel, if you want to do like a 4-piece lethal, 2-piece cruel or whatever. But by far, since it came out, the absolute best set for Rotos in all content is Merciless. Merciless synergizes perfectly with his kit with the decreasing of cooldowns and the percent chance, if you get the 9-piece, for the chance for the extra turn. Now, most of the time for damage dealers in Arena, I would suggest going 4-piece Stone Skin and then 4-piece of either Lethal or Savage or Instinct or whatever. But in Rotos' case, because he has that Spurn Oblivion passive, I'm less concerned about him getting one shot potentially before he gets a chance to use a turn. And in fact, if you have him outside of Stone Skin, if you don't have Stone Skin on him, you have a better chance of his Spurn Oblivion passive getting triggered, letting him potentially cut in before some of the other champions that the opponent may have. So it really kind of ends up being your choice, right? If you really want to make sure that he's not getting CC'd or something like that, then potentially it's better that you do leave him in 4-piece Stone Skin if you don't have like a Sifi. Because there's the other thing to consider. Sifi has an interaction with Rotos that if they're on the same team together, Sifi will cleanse everything off Rotos, all CC off Rotos, as soon as it becomes his turn, which again lowers the value and the need for Stone Skin. So with that, if I had to rank, right, his best gear sets, I would say number one by a long mile is 9-piece Merciless. After that, I would go with 6-piece Merciless, as I have here. Unfortunately, I don't have the accessories yet to be able to throw him in 9-piece. After that, 6-piece, so 9-piece, 6-piece. After that, I would go with either Stone Skin plus Lethal slash Savage, or you can go Lethal, Savage, along with Cruel, just to boost his damage more. Again, depending on whether you're worried about him getting CC'd or not. Because again, if you run him with a Sifi, he has a full cleanse coming his way every time that he starts his turn. That's including if Spurn Oblivion is what procs his turn. And if you've ever seen videos of a Rotos just absolutely one-shotting an enemy team, never letting them get a turn, or potentially cutting in using Spurn Oblivion, and after that, never letting them take a turn, it's probably because of the 9-piece Merciless, because this reset adds on to every time that he resets using his A3, this cooldown also, and this just stacks on top of his A1, his Spurn Oblivion, and his A3 to just make him a turn monster. He just does not stop. He really, truly is a merciless damage dealer at that point. I cannot wait to get mine in 9-piece Merciless. But for now, we're working with the 6-piece, and honestly, he is still an absolute threat in 6-piece. Before I got the 6-piece together on him, I was working with Lethal and Cruel, and he was really, really good there as well. So if you don't have Merciless at all, or if you don't have the 9-piece, don't worry about it. Just work with what you have. He's still a devastatingly good champ. And with that, let's take a look at how I have him built. So earlier we talked about what the breakdown was between his attack and his HP when it came to his multipliers on all of his abilities, right? So I put together a notepad here for you to look at and to consider when building your own Rotos. So on his A1, for his multipliers, for every 100 attack, the damage boost you would get for putting 100 attack on him from his A1, you would have to get 1,000 HP to equal that, right? So any new piece of gear, if it's adding a 100 attack, the damage output he'd be getting is the same as if that piece had 1,000 HP. For his A2, for every 100 attack, you would need to have 1150-ish HP to equal the amount of damage output that he would gain. And on his A3, which is his hardest hitting ability with that built-in ignore defense, you would need around 1100 HP to every 100 attack. And that's pretty much the formula that I would go off of for any pieces going forward, just because it's a little easier than 1150 or whatever. So for every 100 attack, think if you're exchanging it for anything greater than 1100 HP, you're getting more damage out of it. And the same thing goes the other way. So if you're replacing HP overall with attack, as long as you're gaining more than 100 attack for every 1100 HP that you give up, you're going better towards damage. So no matter what piece you're going to be putting on him, you always want to try it out in the fitting room and just see exactly how much attack versus HP you're getting for each one, and then figuring it out that way to maximize his damage. But as a general rule, to get the most out of Rotos and really maximize his damage, you want to make sure to have him in crit damage gloves with crit damage ascension on the gloves. You want to have attack percent on the chest with attack percent ascension. And you want to either be using speed with speed or attack percent boots. And if you're wondering, hey, well, Maxwell, why not HP percent? They scale off both, right? It's because the scaling happens off of his base stats. So if you look, his base HP is really low and it's not very good. So percent HP on Rotos is never going to be as good for damage output as percent attack, because his attack's actually very good. So again, for that breakdown, making sure you have attack percent on the chest and either attack percent on the boots or speed, depending on your overall speed needs. For his accessories, you always want to go for damage with HP ring with HP ascension, crit damage amulet with crit damage ascension on the amulet, and HP banners with HP ascension. Now again, these rules are not including substats. Like you may have a attack-based ring that is just far and away better than an flat HP-based ring. So for example, in this case, I have a Merciless ring that has 4K, so it's at plus 16 and it's 6-star, right? Here's a 6-star attack ring. These are the maximum values. So 4080 and 265 are the maximum values of the primary stat for 6-star rings for HP and attack. So if you remember back to that formula of like 100 attack equals 1100 HP. So even if we round this one up to 300 attack, in order for these to be equal, the ring would need to be 3300 HP. But in this case, it's even more, and this is even less. So this in terms of raw damage that Rotos puts out from these stats, the HP ring is far superior to the attack ring. But then we'd obviously go a step further if I was really comparing these pieces. So looking at his stats over here, we see that if I were to replace my Merciless ring with this Undead Hordes ring, I would be losing 5,150-ish HP and only gaining 140 attack. So in order for me to even consider this in terms of a swap from HP to attack, I would need to be somewhere over 400 attack in order to even consider this, but it's nowhere close. So the damage output from keeping this HP-based ring is going to be far better than that attack ring. And that's exactly the kind of fitting room, tweaking you need to be doing on your Rotos to get the most out of him. So now let's look at my actual pieces of gear. We obviously have the HP with HP ring, crit damage with crit damage amulet. We have HP banner. I still don't have that properly ascended. A few of these pieces are missing proper ascensions and proper glyphs as I just put them on recently. Crit damage with HP percent gloves, attack percent chest, speed with speed boots. Total stats, we're looking at 53k HP, 5.4k attack. This is much lower than I'd like it. 2.9k defense, about around 250 speed, 100% crit, 325 crit damage. So I'm happy with these stats, and he actually performs quite well, again, because of his multipliers on both attack and HP. Having a slightly lower attack is not the worst thing on Rotos. So with that, let's take a look at relics. Now, in my opinion, the best relic that you can put on Rotos right now that really synergizes with his kit, his passive, and just him as a champion is Aspect of Siroth. When wearer receives fatal damage, reduces it by 50% of their turn meter, and then fully depletes turn meter. Cooldown is 1 turn. This can upgrade all the way up to 100% reduction. So that combined with Spurn Oblivion and combined with the blessing that I'm going to recommend on Rotos pretty much means that if he gets a fatal hit, he will take virtually 0 damage every other turn and still get to take a turn because of Spurn Oblivion. It's kind of a slightly broken interaction right now, but because of that, a fully upgraded Aspect of Siroth is, in my opinion, the best arena relic that you can put on Rotos right now. Other options, if you don't have that, are your typical damage dealer relics, and a good budget one that you could throw on there would be, Malefic Talon, but anything that increases your attack, your crit damage, and anything that can boost your ability to destroy or kill the opposing team is going to be effective. But because of that interaction, this is the Aspect of Siroth really, really is a relic you should strongly consider putting on Rotos. So now let's look at blessings. And as I just mentioned, the blessing that I'm going to recommend is one that synergizes really well with his passive and with the Aspect of Siroth, and that is Ward of the Fallen. This is pretty much the go-to for Rotos. If you have it at him at 6-star Awakening, this is going to be far, far better. It's going to be truly like an incredible blessing, but this is the one to go for him that really maximizes him being as tanky as possible, right? And especially given that he is a champ that can outlast so much, and that even while the rest of your team has already fallen, there's a good chance he's going to be the last one standing. And again, that just makes this blessing even stronger. So I think that no matter what Awakening level you have him, Ward of the Fallen is your best blessing for Rotos. Okay, and with that, let's take a look at his Masteries. See how I have him built. First, let's move myself. Okay. So I went down the offense tree and picked up Helm Smasher just for more ignore percent defense from his skills. I made sure to pick up Shield Breaker since I'm primarily using him in Arena, and there's a lot of shields in Arena. We have Whirlwind of Death and Kill Streak there for every time that he takes down an enemy champ, getting a little stronger. Cycle of Violence, obviously, to get through his abilities, which already have low cooldowns, faster. And I really like running mine with Life Drinker just because it gives him that extra bit of sustain. If he does get low, he can come in with a big hit and just get all of his HP back. For secondary tree, I went with defense. I like the improved parry, the less damage from critical hits, along with delayed death, more turn meter from Cycle of Revenge, and finally the chance to counterattack with Retribution. Okay, and with that, let's just move myself back right here. All right. I want to do a showcase of what Rotos can do. But we're not going to start off in Arena. Instead, we're going to go to Cursed City. Now, we already know Rotos excels in things like Frost Spider and the Doom Tower and Ice Golem because of his ability to block Revive. But what I want to do is I want to show you guys how much he can carry even in hard mode Cursed City, a stage completely by himself. All right, so here we are in stage 6 of Soul Cross for this rotation. Now, when I first got to this point during this rotation, I thought to myself, all right, it's pretty much over. This is a difficult stage. I don't have the champs necessary to get through it, but because just pretty much Ugo has some gear and then Rotos has gear and the others are just throwaways. But I thought, wouldn't it be hilarious if Rotos could carry this for me, right? So as we saw right there, I went in with the A3 and I one-shot Mighty Ugo, so there's no reviver. And then I also procced my Merciless set, which got me one off my A3 cooldown. So now if I get a reset on my A1, next turn I'm pretty much being able to use that again. So we're going to go for it. A1 on the Akemptum, and we got the extra turn. All right, now let's take out one of the Samsons. Let's take out another one. Oh, that didn't quite work. All right, let's play it on auto for a little bit. Okay, so this is going, spoiler alert, I did get through it the first time, clearly. This is going better than the first time that I cleared this. So here we go. Perfect Rotos showcase as he's just going through and getting more and more powerful, picking up more max HP, getting tankier. All right, now we're on to the second wave here. A lot of beefcakes over there. Those are some big boys. Let's try to get some of these out of here. I'm going to take Woosgar out first. Then let's take out that guy. So at this point, as you can see though, Ugo is not really doing that much for me. This is pretty much the Rotos show. He is single-handedly just going through this team like a hot knife through butter. I mean, this is not something that you should be able to one-shot with a champ with this little support, but Rotos is able to get it done. All right, on to the final group here. Let's take out their little Miss Annie. Let's get them with the block debuffs. That didn't quite work. All right, let's just auto it at this point. I'm confident enough in Rotos to auto it at this point. Ugo may go down, but Rotos is still going to stand strong for me. Again, you saw the Merciless proc there twice, so his A3 is back off cooldown. He gets to go again, gets another turn, and cleaned up. Rotos doing over 1 million damage. Nobody else other than Ugo even getting close to 90k. Incredible champ for soloing, and Ugo wasn't even necessary to do that, right? The first time that I went through, Ugo died on the first wave, and the rest of it was just Rotos carrying all the way through. But this is just a really good showcase of how this champ can single-handedly take down teams, and it works just the same way in Arena. Let's go right into Classic Arena. We just had the reset happen, so this is Gold 4, but hopefully we can find some worthy teams. This one looks like a go first team. Hopefully Baron hits pretty hard. Let's see what we can do here. Let's see if he can trigger Rotos's passive and cut in. All right, so we're faster in this case. We're going to pretend like we were not faster. Yeah, I guess we'll just buff up. All right, here we go. All right, let's see what that Baron hits for. Let's hope he can hit worth something. All right, in this case, we'll go ahead and take a little hit on the Seeker here. Boom, there we go. So he just hit us. It procced with the Spurn Oblivion, and now it's our turn. And even though most of their team is petrified here because of our buys, we see that I would have been able to cut in, kill their turn meter booster and their reviver, and then just start making my way through the team using Rotos just to take them out one by one. So again, this is an example. There you have it. So Rotos went in with his A1, it reset. He went in with his A3, reset, and then killed the Lydia right there. Just an example of both his passive and his resets being effective in Arena. All right, next thing I wanted to do is showcase Rotos alone against the team. Now, this isn't always going to work. His passive is not foolproof. Again, things like Narcissus can get through it, or multi-hitters. But in this case, we have the Nias that just went for Rotos and triggered his passive. So now we're going to be able to work with this and start taking out their team. There was a heal because of the life drinker. Now we're going to take out the ninja. Now we got decreased cooldown on my abilities because of my merciless set. And now we're going to see if we can get some extra turns in and start getting Rotos back in the game here. So saw that was one. We got another extra turn. He is currently under block damage, but Rotos doesn't care. Rotos goes right through that. Got another extra turn. Took out the Loki, and there we have it. Another example of Rotos soloing a team because of his kit. Just an unbelievably satisfying champion to play in Arena. So much fun. And there you have it, everybody. Rotos the Lost Groom. If you like today's content, please like and subscribe. Let me know down in the comments below if you want to see more champions. Thank you for watching the video. Thank you for your time. Have a great day, and I'll catch you in the next one.